So, oops. 5, 4, 3, 2.
I'm having fun. That's what this is all about, right? We're having an experience. That's all we're doing.
We are. Thank you so much. So, for those of you tuning in, we're trying this new platform called Riverside, and there are some parameters that I hadn't really figured out yet. So now this noise reduction feature that just came to my awareness makes it sound so much better. So thank you again for being here, Jenn, and sharing your amazing journey with us, because it is really inspiring. So just in case there was an issue with the first part, I do want us to retake what we were talking about, because what I was saying is that when I read your bio, it was just so cool, because I got this image of like someone going through some valleys and going up and down, and you guiding them through this landscape where they were getting all these codes and maybe objects in their way, kind of like in a video game. And I asked you, what is a luminary? Because you say you're a luminary. And so, yeah, can you, tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Sure. So a luminary, that's just someone who lights the path, right? Someone who shines the light on either what's hidden or what's uncomfortable to bring forth. And just doing that in such a gentle way, right? That it makes it safe for someone to bring out that stuff and be willing to look at it and to co-create an experience, a healing experience that then allows more freedom, right? So freedom from disturbance is peace. So bringing in more peace, more harmony, and more balance into someone's being is the goal. The goal, not the goal, but the offering, right? Everyone wants that. Everyone wants more peace, more harmony, and more balance. Wherever someone is on the consciousness path or on their journey, everyone knows what a disturbance is, right? Everyone knows what stress is. So it's easy to have those conversations, right?
Wow. Yeah. I love the fact that you want to bring that peace and harmony, because I do feel like that's a piece that's missing a lot in many people's lives. And I guess for myself, I can say that I hadn't realized for a long time. It's like I do feel like these people maybe come into your life once they were like, I am actually not really feeling peace. I'm actually not really feeling harmony in my life. And that's when they're like, maybe I should do something about it, because that's kind of what happened with me. It's like we're so used to, well, not everyone, but I can speak for myself, used to having this life of like just busy all the time and a lot of noise, and just living in busy cities a lot as well. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, is this really what I want for myself? Does this really bring me peace? Because it's like you keep having this feeling of like there's something either missing or something that I'm not doing right. Why don't I feel fulfilled? Why don't I feel happy? Even though I have a family, I have money, I have this and that, but it just never seems like it's either enough, or that, like I said, there's a piece missing somewhere. I guess my question for you is, like, what has your experience been working with people? Like, what type of profiles come to you most often?
Well, that's an interesting question. So in the beginning, it was a certain profile, right? People who were conscious of a spiritual journey and they wanted to open their gifts, and they were clear on the path, and that's how they lived it. But so much has changed, in the world, right? And everything is moving so fast, and people are awakening or shifting or recognizing, like you were describing, that there's something else. There's something more to this existence, to this life. And maybe there is this knowing of peace, but it's fleeting, right? It's not anchored in, or the balance or the harmony. It's not something constant. So now, it's anyone shows up, and it's really beautiful. And it's also a testimony to how agile I can be, and how open I can be, and how well I can listen, because everyone brings something different, and everyone's in a unique place. The full spectrum, from never having any work at all, never even hearing these words of energy, of flow, of hands-on or of frequency, to never having an experience, to then getting to bring someone into that experience and watching, right, that opening from that place. So there's that end of the spectrum, which is really beautiful, and it requires trust, right, for me. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, of course, where people are already on it, they're conscious, and they're like, next thing. And that brings a different kind of joy, right? And that's easier in a lot of ways, because the flow is easier. People know what they want, they speak, they know how to do this, right? We're bringing someone forward that's never had the experience is really an honor, but it requires a lot of tenderness and listening and patience, right? Because we just don't snap into, the thing, in a minute. It's got to go to sometimes to square one, right? And have the conversations and the explanations and take the time, right? And sometimes say things that people don't want to hear.
Yeah. Wow, that's just amazing. And I was just looking at your bio again and thinking, well, what kind of training does she have? Because all this kind of work are things that I'm also beginning to do myself. And I'm just in the beginning of the stage of getting people to work with and, having clients and all this stuff. And I'm like wondering, like, what did you do? And it says resonance alchemy, quantum energy coaching, and Laho. Let me know if I'm pronouncing this wrong. Laho Chi energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more, like what your training has been like, or if you have maybe certain teachers or people that you looked up to in your life, and what was that journey of stepping into this path of being a coach and a teacher?
That's a good question, and that could take a long time. So the journey is, right, it changes over time. Right? So in the beginning, it was yoga, right? And my life was just came apart at all the seams, and I needed something to anchor me. So there was yoga. And then there was meditation, attempting to meditate. It was not easy in the beginning. I could do 10 seconds and then the rage would come up and I'd, whatever. And, so cycles, years of that, and slowly unplugging things and, moving things out. So there was more space. So it's been a journey of a lot of tools, right? And in the beginning, I'm like, what's wrong with me? This tool, now I need another one. And from this, religion or this thought or this person. And I'm like, it's like a buffet. Like, are you okay? But actually, we need, at least I needed different things, right? So it was moving through life, just finding what was needed, using it. And now it's in my book.
I just love that. I feel like I have to quote you on that. It's like you go through life going like, oh my God, it's a buffet. Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Everything is a tool. It's like you said, it's just adding on to that toolbox, right?
Well, and people in the beginning, I didn't realize that I was thinking ahead and living ahead of the norm. I didn't know. I just thought I was, whatever. I thought I was insane or whatever. But people would say to me, teachers would say to me, can't you stick to one thing? All you do is move from this to this. And I'm like, well, this is just natural. Is there something wrong with me? Is there not? But what I can say now, over 15 years, probably 15 years of consciously doing this, I have so many tools. And I'm not saying that like to brag or what. So anyone who comes, there's like something to draw from, whether it's a type of breath, whether it's a type of practice, whether it's a way of thinking about things, whether it's, and on the fly, you have to sometimes, sorry, I flew my hair. Sometimes you have to be able to be that agile and flexible and to pull something in, because I don't just offer this stick. You don't show up and get A, B, and C. You show up and you get what you need. You get what you need in the moment,
Wow, that's so true. And, I've also felt like bad about being all over the place and people telling me like, oh, like kind of like what you said. It's like, so what are you doing exactly? Like decide on what you want to do. I mean, they don't literally say it, but it's like insinuated a lot, especially with my family. And it's like, all right, when is she going to find her thing? Like, when is she going to be successful? Like with something specific, but it's like you said, we're learning from each of these experiences. And when people come to us, we have all this this huge toolbox, yeah, of things that we can provide eventually, even if we're not like super deep into each one of these things. Eventually, for some reason, it seems like for you, it just became the thing. I don't know. It's like all these little things became one other big thing that is your thing.
Yes. Which made writing the bio hard because I'm like, how do I write all these things? And I'm like, no, up a level. Like, what do you offer overall? It's peace, harmony, and balance, the offering to anchor that in, right? The co-creation of that experience to help anchor that in. And then this other thing that dropped into my lap one day, I was noticing that as I work with people, because I need to see face. I can do it remote or I can do it in person, but I need to see someone's face. And this, I don't know why, but I need to see their face to have the conversation, whatever I'm getting from that, whatever energy, whatever's coming through. But what I realized is there's the beginning of the conversation, and then there's the closure, maybe 90 minutes or 2 hours later, and how drastically they've changed. So this, and I just kept seeing it over and over again. And sometimes I do it with people here at the house. I'm like, let's come look in the mirror. Let's come and look at who you are. And I will ask people on calls too to go do that. Go look in the mirror and see who you really are, because there it is shining. So this is dropped into my lap. This idea, it's these sublime radiance. So one day I'm quietly meditating and this drops in, and now you're like, oh, someone's talking to me. Oh, that was for me. And so I realized that's what I'm witnessing. That's what I'm witnessing is sublime radiance. And so I sat with that. I'm like, let's look up these words. That's what I do now is I look up all the words because they don't mean anything anymore. It's like needing to create the meaning or reconnect to a new meaning as I continue to shift. So it's like sublime. Well, sublime, that's an elevation to a higher spiritual purity, to this quality of majestic awesomeness. And I'm like, yeah. And then radiance, this reflection of light. And I'm like, yeah. And where is that light coming from? Inside someone, right? So this process is allowing that shining up of that light that's in there, right? That's been covered up. Not like as a kid, I thought, don't hide under your bushel basket. I really thought that meant people hide, in their house or in their closet or whatever, don't want to show themselves. I mean, sure, that's one meaning, but really what is hiding under a bushel basket is also allowing all of this stress, right? This stuff that constricts, right? Where your light can't shine as fully as it's capable of, right? And what is that light? This is just me trying to define things and put things into words so that everyone can understand these words that we already know what they mean, frequency and all that. So where does that light come from? That radiance from someone? What is the light? It's their essence. It's their unconditional love. There's lots of qualities of essence, but that unconditional love and how much bandwidth someone has to hold that unconditional love for themselves, which then extends to others. So it can be pretty small, but it can expand, right? That's the shining, the brilliance.
Ooh, that's really beautiful. I really like that. Yeah. Wow. So, and then what difficulties did you encounter in your journey of becoming a coach or a teacher? What do you like? You don't call yourself that. You call yourself luminary. Let me just check your bio again because I want to tell people.
I don't know what to call myself. You know
exactly.
what I mean? There aren't words. Like, how do you put yourself into a word or two? So I try to find words that describe what happens or what transpires, right, in an experience with me. So I don't like coach. I don't like healer. Like those just words. They already have their conditioned, their filters. So it's like how to find new words. So I just call it an experience. It's an upgrade. You get to have an experience, and these are the kinds of things that you can bring into your life through this experience, and you get to create the experience, and you get to decide what you want to look at. I may see 5 things, but you get to choose what you're ready to look at, what you're ready to open up to, what you're ready to lay out on the table, so to speak, and be vulnerable with.
Yeah, I love that. You also use the word catalyst and alchemist, which I thought was really cool as well. But yeah, so anyway, let's focus on what was difficult for you along that in that journey to figure out what is it that you really wanted to do here.
So I can go there with you, but I never actually answered your other question.
Oh, wait a second. Did we not fully answer? Well, the other question was what
The,
was the question?
well, the thing is, so what I put in my bio is what I'm actively practicing now because they're things that are relevant. They're all around frequency, which is frequency medicine, which is where I believe the healing is. We're light and sound. That's it. We're nothing else. We're light and sound. We're created from light and sound. We move through light and sound. Information comes in through light and sound, regardless of what we think in our culture of where all that comes from. And so that's where the healing also comes in. So these three modalities that are the ones that I use primarily now and that have names and they're concrete and whatever, they're all about shifting frequency or bringing in light and sound, right, into someone's being to help move out the density, to help clear I call it the energetic highways that we travel on so that energy can flow the right way and not be in a traffic jam, right? And that vibrance, that radiance, that sublime radiance can come through. The funny thing is that life was the training. So life was the training, right? So life is the training always. So for me, that's what it was. So it was coming into different places in my life that I needed more support or I needed new support and something would show up. So resonance alchemy showed up, as initially sessions for me to help me move through a lot of blockages, right? More complex things that couldn't just be handled in meditation or breathing or with normal hands-on. And then I was guided to start taking the courses. And so I did. And now it's become this amazing tool because it's high frequency syllables. So you have access to your template and an understanding of how our template is put together, right? And the ability to connect to all 12 dimensions, to connect and to clear. And you can access anything by points on the body and tapping them open to let your consciousness and your subconsciousness know, hey, I'm coming in, give me some access. And then you bring in these specific high vibrational syllables, which are frequency, and then things shift and move and come back into the coherence or into that alignment that I think is the goal of healing. And so I love it now. I do it every day because now I'm big and I work on myself. and it tells me a story. So there's hundreds of these syllable phrases, and then they get put together in unified healing codes to address a particular healing aspect. And for me, doing it all the time now, I see the story of what's going on with me versus what's happening. This feels awful. I don't know, where am I? What's going? So it gives me some context around, I don't know why I can't get out of bed or why I can't think clearly or what is going on at a higher level. So I enjoy that. And that's also fun to do with people in little parts. And of course, focusing on the nervous system is always the priority for me with anyone. So that nervous system of ours, if we can stabilize and balance it and optimize it so it doesn't move no matter what happens in life, like we have an advantage. We've completed the first part of that balance and that harmony and that peace is that stillness. And then we operate from that platform of a balanced, stabilized, optimal nervous system. So I do some of those protocols with people to bring that nervous system into balance. And they kind of enjoy it to know where the points are and to be saying some of the syllables quietly. And so it's really, I figured out how to make it a little bit interactive. So that's what I do. I take things and then I'm like, oh, I want to do it like this. Is that okay?
Yeah, I love that. We have to adapt things. I don't think we're meant to do everything by the book, Mm.
No. Yeah. And the QEC, the quantum energy coaching, that came at a point where I'm like, well, this energy work doesn't work anymore. The frequencies that I use don't really work much on me anymore. Well, duh. You can't just abracadabra everything away. I mean, you can move out a lot of density without knowing what you're moving out, right? Or stress or heavy stuff out of your cellular structure, out of your cellular memory, out of your nervous system. But there comes a point where you have to have conversations about things, because we are here to have an experience and to learn some things that we chose to come to learn. So that that quantum energy coaching showed up again as a training. Oh, let me do this training. But it was really another way to like take me apart and put me back together again, and teaching me how to create. So you have this conversation and then beliefs come up. You can hear the beliefs that aren't serving, right? You, or you want to change a situation. So you create statements to clear, to forgive, and then to bring in the thing that you want. And there's a technique to overwrite the subconscious. And it was amazing what it did. And this training was 9 months. So I got 9 months, 2 to 3 times a week practicing, but you're doing it. You're having it. You're doing it, right? So that was huge. And that works well with people too, for anything that we're going to do, to pick a couple of beliefs and bring in some new statements, right? Because we know how the subconscious works. Well, you and I know how it works. Whatever's stored in there is automatically running the show. And so, you know, you think you're ugly, you can cut your hair and put on makeup and buy new clothes. But if you have the core belief running in your subconscious that you're ugly, you're not going to see beauty when you look in the mirror. So you can keep changing your clothes, changing your makeup, doing whatever. But you've got to go into that place of the belief that's there. Where did it come from? How do I unhook it? And what do I put in its place? So we're not doing the autopilot, right? The trance dance, I call it. Third life.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's like the subconscious is running our show. We don't want that. And so that was a quantum energy, right? And then there's the Lao Chi. Right?
Oh, Lao Chi, right. So that's the I Ching energy. So that was the very first training I had outside of yoga and meditation. So that was just, again, a poster somewhere. Never heard of this before. And I'm like, oh, I have to do that. Again, thinking, I'm going to learn how to channel energy. No, it was 2 years of Jennifer clearing herself, rage, all of this stuff, because, you learn the techniques, but then you're told, go practice 30 people and then come back, and we'll see where you are, whatever. So through that giving, it's a receiving, giving, receiving, because you can only channel as much or bring through as much light, I call it, that you have the capacity, the space for. So of course I was always like, yeah, more. Well, to bring in more, I had to make more space, which meant emptying out my container. So that was a surprise, all of these trainings, I thought I'm going to learn something. It was just another way for me to empty out my junk.
Wow. That's why we feel called to do certain trainings or take certain courses sometimes. It's first of all to go deeper within ourselves, and then we will eventually help other people with these kinds of things. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, there have been times where I've signed up for trainings and then I've been guided, you're done now. And I'm like, but I didn't finish. I don't have any certificates. I didn't get a certificate. I have to finish. No, you're done right now. And now we're going to go do this thing. So it's also learning how not to be linear and to really listen to your guidance, because it isn't linear and it doesn't make sense. And the more we can give up that path, the compartmentalizing, this is the way we have to do it, then the easier it is to flow and to be agile and to stay open, right?
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking of my experience with, for example, Reiki. I was like, oh, I want to take Reiki. That makes so much sense. Energy healing and all this. And I asked, can I get a certificate after? Yeah, for sure. And so I did level 1, and then I was waiting for my certificate. It's like, nope, never came. Level 2 never came either, from the same teacher. It's like, oh, okay, well, I was confused. I'm like, I thought this was my thing, and I was like, what is going on? But then I realized, as many people listening know, maybe some of you don't know, but there are some distortions in terms of like the Reiki and behind it. And you probably know too, Jen, like, because of the history behind the founder and all these things that are just not really, probably not a good idea to be practicing in general. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Reiki that you'd like to share?
No, I don't. I never trained in it or did it, but I can just speak in general. This is a 3D. It's not the 12D. So everything's distorted, right? So
Right.
we have to purify it, discern and pay attention, and also not get caught in this is bad, I heard this doesn't work, this is the, and stay away. It's just pull out the pieces, bring it in to support yourself, and then purify it and use it, because we can purify everything, and then use it in your way.
That is so true. That's so true. It did kind of sound like I was bashing Reiki, which I kind of was, but I do have to say that is so true. We can take those teachings and do our own thing, which is kind of what I'm doing. I do kind of use similar techniques, but kind of not twisting it. That's not what I wanted to say. Kind of, kind of like shifting it. That's the word. Yeah. Twisting. We don't want to twist things. Yeah, but it's shifting it to more of like to bring in more of my frequency to it. So yeah, I guess you could say I do like the energy healing teachings and all that stuff, but I'm still figuring things out in that sense. Somebody told me that that was going to be my thing. And I'm like, oh, really? So you kind of get also like, oh, this person said that, so maybe I should explore that more and all that. I don't know. Maybe they could be right. They could be wrong. I don't know. But it always comes back to what do you feel? What do you think? And I like that you bring it back to that. It's like, okay, we have all these things in this 3D matrix that are presented to us either as tools or teachings or whatnot. But in the end, it's like, how can we shape it into something that is more us, that is more our own frequency, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a really beautiful point. And then also going back to certificates. So first of all, we're these unique souls, and there's no one like you and no one like me. So if we all co-create from that space of our uniqueness, then there's no two of the same of anything, right? So that's also stepping out of the models of here's your training, here's how you do it, and this is what you get to do. Now go tell everyone. No, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the frequency that speaks, the light that you shine, and how we choose to shine that light. There's no end to how we can do that. So the certificates, I mean, I laugh about that because I hardly have any and I don't even care, but no one asks. See, this is the thing. No one asks me ever because they trust, they feel, and they see. People watch and they see, right? Do I want to have a conversation with this person? Do I feel safe with this person? Do I want? So it's no more about certifications. It's about the frequency. And that's what I'm seeing people are starting to recognize. It's almost like people don't even look anymore. They do, but they're seeing something else. And when I look at others, I'm not seeing them either. I'm seeing their light or their heart space or that's their value. That's their currency. That's their worth, right? Not what's on the outside. So this offering that you're working to create and that I'm working to create, that's going to keep changing all the time as I change. It comes from our essence. It comes from our soul. It comes from our frequency. And the question is, how do I want to deliver my light? Because it's so powerful. How do you want to deliver your light? What's your vehicle? Your hands? Sound? I mean, it doesn't matter. It's endless.
That's so true. And it's all healing. So, you know what just came to me? It's like, yes, healing is my thing, but that doesn't mean I have to do it through Reiki or through my hands. It can be through dream work, through whatever other things that I'm so interested in, because like you said, it's just so many things. But it's all healing and it's that frequency. Yeah, like when you're speaking with people. Wow, yeah, and the certificate thing too, because for the longest time I've been like going back and forth. Should I get a certificate somewhere? Should I not? Wait a second. But it's like you said, the frequency is more important. I kept getting this as well. It's like, no, frequency is what counts. You don't need a doctorate. You don't need a cert. But I'm like, but that's what people are looking for. And I have, all these other contacts that have that are certified in this or that. And I'm like, but wait a second, am I supposed to be working with the people that are actually looking to see if you're certified, or is it my calling to work with people that are, like you said, more feeling into what the frequency is? Yeah. So
And people will find you. So that's been my experience too. I've never had a website. I think I had business cards for 5 minutes. It just happens. People show up. People find me. People say, "Go see." So
yeah.
I've never had to do anything, and I've always had plenty of clients. And I mean, I'm asked now to create a website. There's something about actually creating the structure for me now, but I'm like, why? But so the point is, people will find us. We don't have to do something for them, the sing and the dance. People show up. People know, right? You might have to do a little so that your name is out or whatever, but ultimately, people are looking for harmonic resonance, right?
That is
They're
so.
looking, and they're looking for, and this is what I did. This is how I got where I am. I never settled for who was in my harmonic resonance circle. I always was looking up higher. Who can show me the next step? Who can talk me to the next place, right? That's what we do for each other, I think.
Ah, I love that. Absolutely. And that was part of the other question I had is that do you have like a teacher or somebody that you feel had a big influence on you? Or was it just like it depends, like maybe it was just a short time, or was it just yourself? That's something, yeah, that I was wondering about you as well.
Yeah, there have been so many, and I'm honestly appreciative for all of them and how they stepped forward when I needed that support or that tool or the gift or the encouragement. There have been so many. And again, they show up as needed, right? If you're not stagnant, you continue to shift, then things continue to show up. So there's not really one, but I'm touched by so many. And I think the journey, at least this is the work for me now, is that I'm relying on me to teach me, to show me, to illuminate for me, to transmute for me, to be my own catalyst versus lay around and want someone else to do some of it for me. And that's sovereignty, right? That's fully stepping into power, into sovereignty, and moving by that inner authority. That inner authority, not from the outside, but the inner authority. And I've had some of those experiences where I've just laid around for 2 weeks and told not to move until you're told to move. So this practice of almost not even being able to take a breath until I hear that it's time to take a breath. It was an amazing experience. It was kind of crazy making, for a little while, but it really helped me understand what the inner authority is. It's not the voices in the head. It's not the spinning, looping, critical, judgmental. That inner authority is something else. And moving with it means you don't move very often. And it means you move when it's totally time to move, or the moment to move and to show up and to do, which is so anti our culture and our programming and our modeling, which is busy, move. So to do that, people think you got a brain delay. Like, what's going on? Is it okay in there? No, it is. It's about witnessing, watching, being still, and moving when it's time to, I don't like the word time, when it's when it's
And it feels aligned, I guess, to move. Or something. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yes, absolutely. And I was talking about this with Siobhan, you know Siobhan from the group. Yeah, it's like this balance between the masculine and the feminine. It's like you see the path. First you're like maybe in the dark and you're like, okay, and then some people try to scramble in the dark. And she was sharing this really profound, this dream that I found really profound that she had, where she was like scrambling around or driving around in the dark instead of waiting for the light to come and shine light on that path that she was supposed to go through. There were like these stepping stones. And so it's like, yeah, there's like, that's the balance, right? It's like you wait when it feels dark. It's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. And then the light comes and it shines a path. Now go, and then you go. Then you maybe have to stop again. But it's like people are always scrambling around everywhere. Like, this is the way. No, this is Yeah. Wow.
I love your laugh.
Oh, thank you. Oh gosh, but yeah, this has been really nice because I feel like it speaks to me a lot on what I'm experiencing in my journey, and sometimes how I feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm doing, like, I'm so dispersed and I don't know what I'm doing, and maybe I should get a certificate, and I keep doubting myself. And now you're saying this, and I'm like, I kind of knew that, but it's good to have someone confirm it to you, and someone who has had experience, years of experience with working with people, and how people actually, like you said, they come to you when either they're ready or you're ready to receive them, because I feel like we learn from people as well when we're having them in a session. It's not just you teaching them things or telling them things. They're also bringing something for you to look at, right? It's always a win-win kind of situation.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that, because that's true. It's a reciprocity. I call it a co-creation and a collaboration, but it's also a reciprocity. I learn just as much, or I am sparked just as much by whoever it is that walks in, no matter where they've come from, or how many times they have or haven't, engaged in this kind of work. It's a learning, and that's what we do. So it's this an equal exchange, an equal balanced exchange, always, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I
Yeah.
don't like those words, coach and mentor and teacher. I mean, I know they do the best they can for right now to give people a sense, but that's not even what we're really doing anymore. It's a continuous exchange of energy, of thoughts, of ideas, that helps each person get to the new place, right?
I got so many chills just when you were saying that, because that totally resonates with what I want to bring and what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be here to like impose ideas on people or be like, yeah, you're a teacher, no, not at all. But you're right. We do see a lot of that going on. And the thing is, okay, so here's the thing, right? It's like, and maybe some people listening might resonate with this. The way I see it is like, I see all these other coaches and their Instagram profiles and how many people are following them. And I'm like, am I supposed to be maybe following some of what they're doing? Because, yeah, that seems to be working and people seem to be getting stuff from that. But in a way, I'm like, well, but do I really resonate with that kind of energy? And it just seems like a lot of people are definitely going to all these coaches and gurus, or whatever you want to call them, like you said, is like all these mainstream kind of labels, right? But yeah, I do feel like the people maybe listening as well are more called to this type of work, which is not at all what has been seen a lot in mainstream yeah, spirituality especially, and Instagram and everywhere. So I guess what I would like to say first, and I want to hear what you have to say, is that don't let yourself be I guess, or misguided, or yeah, like buy into the fact that you have to do these things as well in order for you to be successful, but maybe it's something else that you're actually wanting to do here. You know what I mean? I don't know what you have to say about that.
Well, it comes from this thing. Do you want to be told from the outside who you need to be and what you need to do, or do you want it to come organically from within, right? There's that. And then I believe, and these are the people that I believe who have showed up for me, and wasn't conscious of it for a long time, but I want my experience I want to offer a collaboration with someone to help them be able to step into their own sovereignty, to unlock the door to their own innate healing capabilities, right? To be able to leave and not need to come back, right? There was a point in this when I was learning how to channel energy, and again, I'm watching these masters and these people, and, yeah, let's co-create a little workshop, and I remember people turning to me and saying, someone turned to me and said, so how many clients do you have a week? And I'm like, 3 or 4, because I also had a corporate job. And they're like, oh, well, I have 10 to 15, and they come back every other week. And I'm thinking, I don't want someone to have to come back every other week. I want someone to have the conversation, to get what they need, and to be brought into a new place with more tools, with more capabilities, with more ability to see how they can support themselves, right? And that starts with breath. Like, no one knows how to breathe. That's my thing. It's the nervous system and breath. Let's talk about breathing. Let's because then you walk out of here and you keep doing the breathing. You keep expanding and dissolving the constriction and the stuff that's getting stuck. You empower your own self, right? And then you come back when you're ready and we'll do the next thing. And then you have something else to walk away with. So that word in my bio, empower, Empoweress. I don't want
Yeah.
anyone dependent or codependent or, people have to be a conscious, active seeker for
Yes.
themselves.
Yes. And you know what I was just thinking? It's like, me, for example, I've realized how much in my life I had been dependent or attached to certain things or feeling like there is something or someone that's going to help me fix a certain thing. But that's also why we realize, okay, so that's not the way. So how can I teach people also that they have to learn that detachment, or some people might say engage detachment to things. It's not about like, yeah, they're going to come back to you every single time, like you said, but more like how can they be empowered in order to them also empower other people. And it's like this little chain of, people empowering themselves, and it grows and grows. And the more people do this, the more we will have a reality in which people are really truly empowered, right? So you're not doing all the work yourself. You're not bringing all the clients to you. You're making it so that other people also become, in a way, the ones that are enlightening, or no, not enlightening, like I guess guiding other people also to find their own light. And it creates this like chain reaction, right? That's exactly what I've been like trying to,
Yes.
develop on. Yeah, not like me doing everything, but more like this person does this, and then 5 other people, and 10 and 20, and it just multiplies.
Well, yes. So this is beautiful that you say this, because this is what I'm watching now. So there have been people that have known me a long time and maybe didn't work with me right away, but then worked with me and then, and then did some other things and came back. But there's a handful, and I'm watching them be light leaders now. So I like the term light leader. I'm thinking about calling myself a light leader. I don't know. But now
I like that.
I'm watching them do the same thing with others, just like you're saying. And I didn't think that would happen. I never anticipated. But I'm watching this, and sometimes it makes me want to cry to see, right? This is how we do it, right? This is how we do it.
Yes, because they get inspired by you, and they see there's like your reflection for them as well. As like you can be, yourself. You can also tell people about their own light and show them how to find it and how to spread that all over the world. It's beautiful.
Well, and there needs to be a recognition, too, that everyone's at a different consciousness level. I don't like the word level because it makes it like this, but
Yeah, I was going to actually ask you about that.
everyone's in their own place, which is the beauty of my learning through life and learning through my own unraveling, because I get that someone who needs things fixed, like that was me forever. I needed stuff fixed, make this stop, right? There was a chunk of my life where I need the pain to stop. I need this. So I get where that comes from. And that's a part of consciousness. So you can't go from, needing everything fixed to total, sovereignty in one day. So it's about recognizing this is a step, this is a place in the continuum, and how to work with this right here, knowing that the goal is down the line at some point. And then when appropriate, you bring in the concepts when someone's ready, right? So that's kind of the fun of it, that it's never the same twice, like never, even with the same person, it's never, because it's always organic and shifting and moving, and people are changing. And that's what makes it like not boring.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's true. This kind of work is really fun, and you get to learn about other people, but also about yourself. And there's always, like we were saying, this win-win kind of situation. But yeah, I was just reflecting again on how special this kind of work is, because not everybody's willing to do it. It's like going deep, really deep into who you are is like the first thing, and a lot of people are not really even willing to look at themselves. Yeah. And what you said about showing people the mirror and saying, look at yourself, like, who are you, you know? And I just got chills because I was just remembering, like, when I was starting to really, I guess, tune more into myself and realize that I had a lot of work to do, a lot of inner, like, shadow work and all these things. I did have a moment of looking at myself in the mirror one time, and I believe I saw more like my shadow. You know, it was this face. I don't know. It was just really strange. I almost felt like I was talking to another person, and and yeah, I was like, wow, that it was really interesting because, and in a way, kind of scary. You know, but because a lot of people are not willing to look at that shadow, that side that is a little bit more scary, things that are not really in the conscious mind, but more like repressed, you know, or things that we definitely even deny about ourselves, you know? So, yeah.
Well, I think too, what makes it scary is that what do you do with it? I mean, for a long time, I didn't know what you do with it. What do you do with this stuff? You know, terrifying, right? But you know, there's more tools out there. There's more options. There's more. It's different than 15, 20 years ago. So there is ways now for people to connect with, you know, something that can help do something with that stuff, right? And make it, I don't know if safer is the right word, but feel supported, right? To look at it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you do a lot of this kind of like shadow work with people as well?
I mean, I don't know what it's all called, but I think
Like, I know there's labels and stuff, and they're like, yeah, we're
I mean,
like
we're
trying to get
talking
through the labels.
we're not talking about how awesome the weather is most of the time. We're talking about, you know, where is it in there? You know, what is it? What is
Mm,
it that you want to look at? And this comes from different places. So it could be a spiritual thing. It could be the mental looping. It could be just
mhm.
grief and trauma and shock that's held in the body. So it just depends on what's up for viewing is what I call it, right? What's ready to be looked at, and how
Yeah.
much capacity does someone have? Because sometimes you can only just do this thing that they've raised, and some people you can push the capacity a little bit, right? To look at a little more, you know. So it's just being very sensitive and being listening. You know, it's this listening thing on all levels,
Yeah, that is
and
really,
and really being clear that this isn't my program and that this isn't what I say that needs to happen. This is what you're asking for. This is your highest guidance coming through to support this experience. I'm just, you know, listening and bringing in what needs to be brought in, you know, whatever that looks like.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see what you mean. So, yeah, that just kind of made me think about like how what I call shadow work is like looking into just those things that you're saying, the darkest parts of ourselves, and how difficult that is for a lot of people. And yeah, so I guess it, you know, it doesn't have to be called shadow work. It could be called, I don't know, inner work or path work. There's a lot of words for it. And I heard recently also, yeah, maybe shadow work is a little bit limited because it's not just about looking at your shadow. There's all these other things involved, and we should go beyond that even, you know, it's not just about that. It's true. You know, all these labels that we use for, you know, the healing and all the things that we do is probably a little bit limited, yeah, because it's just so vast, you know, all the things that we can actually look at. And what you were saying that caught my attention was also, what are you ready for, right? It's like there's so many layers, and once you get into one layer, there's yet another layer and another, almost like an onion, right? Yeah. And that's the beauty of it too. It's like you do so much of the work yourself, and then you get people to work with, and they're also uncovering layers with you at the same time. And I guess in mainstream psychology, this is called like a transference and countertransference. I don't know if you've heard these terms before, but yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's like you have to look at that. What is this person bringing into your life? And sometimes I don't know, have you oh, okay, so this is just a question I'm curious about that just came in. And by the way, I'm so happy that you're like happy about flowing and not like with having a script, because I don't like scripts. I like just questions come to me in the moment and I ask them, you know. So yeah, some people are uncomfortable. They want to know the questions before, like, what are you gonna ask? And all that. I'm like, most of the time, I just like to flow, especially, you know, with people that I kind of know already and that are kind of in the same vibe. Otherwise, sometimes I do plan a script, you know, but it depends. Anyway, so the question that just came in for you was, yeah, do your clients or people that, I don't like the word clients, you probably don't either. No. Okay, so do the people that you work with oftentimes have dreams when you're in the dreams, or things that come in like this in sessions?
That they have, are you asking me if they have dreams and they report that I'm in them?
Yeah. Does that happen?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. So, so people have shared that. And then they've also shared this thing where they're like, I don't know what happens, but after I leave, I still hear your voice. Like I hear you saying, choose this, choose that, you know, and maybe I didn't say choose this, but when they're, I mean, we understand how patterns create these deep grooves, you know, in our brain. And so we just automatically easily flip to that groove and do that same thing again. But people are like, I just feel like I have this courage now, and I hear your voice to choose the other thing. And I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Nice.
I was going to ask what your curiosity was about the dreaming part.
Because it has happened to me where people have dreams about me. And it's usually if I'm working with them, or just if it's a close relationship of any type, they'll start having dreams about me. And I say things to them, or I do things where I either it brings up something for them like to work on, or some sort of emotion. But yes, I have heard that this happens a lot in therapy and in psychology in general. It's like this transference, right? Of like, especially people doing dream work. It's like the person seeing the therapist starts dreaming also about the therapist. And so I was just curious to see what you did with that. Like, what do you do anything with that type of information? Do you explore it more, or is it just something you're like, oh, it's kind of cool? I don't know.
I just laugh like inside, and I don't interpret for people like that. I just go, oh, that's interesting. And sometimes I can see that it means you need to come back here, and they get that. Or sometimes it's just like, it's like text support, but not texting.
Yeah.
Because the way people describe it, it's like it's a support being, you know,
Mhm.
that's standing with them while they're facing a monster or whatever, you know. So those are the contexts that it's been brought to me. But we're all
Yeah.
connected, so it makes sense, you know. And I think of people too. I mean, people pop in and I'm like, oh, wait, you know, either information's come in for them for the next time, or I feel that, you know, things are challenging, and, you know, it's
Mm,
a reciprocal thing, right?
I see. Yeah. Hmm. Let me see if there's anything else here that wants to come up for people listening. Oh, I do want to ask you about this. So you said, well, you're not swimming in the ab. How do you pronounce this? Abimal sound. What is that?
Albemarle Sound. So it's a huge body of water that's across the street, and
Wow.
I've learned how to play again. So there's a definition to the body of water that is considered a sound, and I can't remember what it is, but it's so right. So sound healing, I think that's funny too. So there's a sound across the street, sound healing, lighten sound. It's just,
Yes. Oh, so sound is kind of like maybe like a lake or something smaller, right? I don't know.
it's not a lake. Now I'll have to look that word up again, but it's I forgot what a sound
It's
is.
let me look it up because I'm kind of curious. Like what is a sound? Body of water. Well, because it's like gonna show me sound just in terms of like what we hear. Was applied to inlets containing large islands. Hmm.
Yeah. A
Bodies of
small,
open water, not fully open to the ocean. Right? Something like that.
yes. So it's interesting. I've been here a year, and it's just interesting to be at the bottom of the water source, right? So the water starts at the mountain, and then I live 25 years in between the mountain and the ocean. So
25 years?
so the water came down, and now I'm here where the water exits, right? It
Okay.
finishes its journey, right? So it starts from the mountain and it comes down and it travels and there's rivers, right? And here is where it just starts to dump into the ocean. So it's an interesting way to see things from this perspective.
Okay. And so you like swimming there. And I love how you said with mermaids because I love mermaids. Yeah.
I like to pretend I'm a mermaid. Yes, I do.
I love that too. And I've said before, I feel like in a past lifetime or something, or maybe in another dimension, I'm a mermaid because that's kind of what I feel. It's like whenever I'm in the water lately, I'm just like, I love the water, you know? Yeah. I love tubs and stuff like that. That is so cool. I feel like you and I have so much in common. It's amazing.
Well,
Okay, so mm,
I was just going to say part of it is just learning how to play with life, laugh
mm,
at life, just not make it so serious, right?
yes. Absolutely. And I guess that's also the mermaid energy, right? Very playful and all this. And it's, yeah, that's so cool. So, yeah, let me see what else is coming up here. I mean, that is just so inspiring for myself. And then for people listening, I'm sure it is as well to hear about your journey and what you've gone through and all the things that. Oh, wait a second. You didn't really say like what were the difficulties. Is there maybe just one or two things that you had to overcome in order for you to really step into this journey into who you really are that you can just mention to people?
What I think I could encapsulate it all into is surrender, surrender, and let go and trust. I mean, that's been the path. And so the things that I've had to surrender, the things that I've had to let go, the things that I've had to accept have not been easy, but that's the journey.
Mm.
That's the journey.
Oh, I felt that. Hmm. Wow, it feels like we could almost do a whole other episode on letting go and the things that are difficult, and we can do that eventually. That would be really nice. Hmm. Yeah. All right. I'm just wondering if there's like anything else here. Just kind of feeling into it. Hmm. Oh, I'm still kind of like feeling all these emotions. Like, oh, wow. Okay. Thank you so much for this. It's been really amazing.
Oh, I want
Hmm.
to thank you for this experience, for this amazing time that we spent together and what this creation, will support others to do,
Hmm.
right? So I've enjoyed this so much. Appreciate your
Thank you.
generosity and your time.
Oh, you too. I was just thinking, this is the type of guidance I needed right now. Like I could say, when I was asking you, like, who were the teachers that came in and blah, 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 and what happened. And I loved how you said it's kind of like you said, they came in and out, it's like, it's not like I'm attached to a certain teacher or master or whatnot and stuff like this. And that's the way I feel like it's been happening in my life as well. It's like certain people that come in and tell me certain things and they're present for a while and I resonate a lot with what they're doing. And I was like, and for a while, like even a few weeks ago, I was thinking, I don't feel like I can trust anyone, or I feel like I don't have a certain teacher or someone that I can learn from at the moment. And then you pop in and like, wait a second, this is the guidance that I was looking for. You know what I mean? So thank you for that.
But let's reframe it for just a second.
Yeah.
It's all within. It was already there within you. All I did was just say, shine the light, show you through what I was saying organically, right? But it's all within everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So to anybody who's tuning into this podcast today, it's pretty much the same thing. You're listening to this because you have something to get from this, but it's always pointing to within, look further within, right? Thank you so much, Jenn. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we end the episode?
No, just blessings to you. Much love.
Oh, thank you. You too. Thank you guys for tuning in today. It was a pleasure having you, and pleasure having Jenn today to share her journey. And if you have any questions for Jenn, please don't hesitate to reach out. So you have a website now, right? www.jennfalchi.com, right? And Facebook as well. Just look for Jenn Falchi, and LinkedIn, or through email, sublimeradiance144@gmail.com, right?
Beautiful.
Awesome. I will put this in the description as well so people can click on it. It's easier. Thank you.